The defeat to Hibernian on Saturday has left a sour taste in the mouths of Rangers fans, and it's not hard to understand why. Once again, a flat, lifeless performance at Ibrox has exposed deep issues that seem to be rotting this team from the inside. That result marked Rangers' 5th straight home loss, a stat that would have been unthinkable not long ago. Yet here we are talking about the same problems week in and week out. Defensive frailties, missed chances, heads dropping when it matters most. It's become the story of the season, and fans are starting to feel like they've seen this film far too many times. You look at that match against Hibs, and there's a moment early on that perfectly sums up what Rangers are right now. Dylan Levitt picks up the ball outside the box, nothing too threatening, and yet somehow it squirms through Jack Butland. A mistake like that from an experienced keeper sets the tone. Confidence crumbles, belief drains from the stands, and the visitors grow into the game. From there, Rangers never really looked like getting back into it, and that's what stings the most. It's not just the result, it's the way they're losing. There's no fight, no urgency, no pride in the badge. Former striker Chris Boyd didn't hold back in his post-match comments. He laid into the players, accusing them of throwing Barry Ferguson under the bus. And when you hear that from someone who knows what it means to wear that shirt, you've got to take it seriously. Boyd suggested that maybe, just maybe, the shirt is too heavy for this current group. That wearing the Rangers kit with everything it represents is becoming more of a burden than an honor. And it's hard to argue when you watch the performances they've been putting in at Ibrox. Fans used to arrive at the stadium expecting to win. Now they're just hoping the team can hold it together long enough to not embarrass themselves. Boyd pointed out something else that's becoming a worrying trend. He said the players are picking and choosing when to perform. And let's be honest, he's got a point. This is virtually the same squad that put in a strong display against Celtic a few weeks back. A game where they looked fired up, switched on and ready to battle. But that same intensity has been completely missing in matches like the one against Hibernian. One week they look like contenders, the next they look disinterested. That kind of inconsistency kills seasons. It kills momentum, and it kills trust. From the fans, from the staff, from everyone watching. It's easy to get caught up in the high of a big win or a strong European night. But what defines a top team isn't how well they play when the lights are bright. It's what they do when no one's watching. It's about showing up week in, week out, grinding out results and refusing to let standards drop. That's what Rangers used to be about. That's what's been missing. And when you hear a former player like Boyd say the whole place might need to be gutted from top to bottom, it's not just a hot take. It's a reflection of the growing belief that this group, as it stands, doesn't have what it takes to carry the club forward. Barry Ferguson, now serving as interim head coach, has a mountain to climb. He's inherited a team low on confidence, short on cohesion, and seemingly unsure of who they are. After the game, he spoke candidly about the mistake by Butland, admitting it was a costly error. But more than that, he made it clear, changes are coming. He said straight up, if players aren't running, if they're not giving everything, they won't play. Simple as that. And you know what? That's exactly the message. That needs to be sent. No more excuses. No more hiding behind reputations or past performances. Every player needs to earn that shirt again. Ferguson also admitted something that tells you a lot about the current chaos. He hasn't even had time to properly scout their upcoming Europa League opponents at Athletic Club. He's taking things game by game because that's the only way. He can. The house is on fire and he's just trying to keep it from burning down completely. But he knows what this upcoming match means. European nights are special, especially at Ibrox. The atmosphere changes, the expectations rise. And sometimes, just sometimes, those nights can be the spark a team needs to turn things around. But let's not kid ourselves. One good performance won't fix everything. Ferguson knows that too. He said it himself. Rangers need more hunger, more fight, more accountability. The standards have dropped, and it's his job to lift them again. And whether or not he's the man to lead the club long term right now, he's the one holding the wheel. If Rangers are to salvage anything from this season, it starts with a shift in mentality, because talent alone won't win matches. Desire will. Chris Boyd also talked about that false sense of security that comes after a win. Like last week's game against Dundee, Rangers got the result, sure, but the performance was far from convincing. And Boyd called it out. He said people criticized him for being negative after a win, but he stood firm because the problems were still there, plain as day. That's what makes this whole situation so frustrating. The warning signs have been flashing for months. And instead of addressing them head on, it feels like the club has been trying to paper over the cracks. Boyd even mentioned how some fans were getting carried away after that win at Dens Park. But he's been around long enough to know that results like that don't mean the team is back on track. It takes more than 3 points to rebuild belief. It takes consistent performances, a clear identity, and players who are willing to leave everything on the pitch. That's what supporters are craving. That's what's been missing. And while we're on the topic of missed opportunities, how about that revelation from former midfielder Graham Roberts? He said he once told Rangers to sign Dele Alli. Yes! That Dele Alli, back when the midfielder was still showing flashes of brilliance at Tottenham. Roberts said he always believed in Alli, that he had the potential to be world-class if given the right support. And now, years later, Alli finds himself out in Italy struggling to recapture the spark that once made him one of England's brightest talents. Imagine if things had gone differently. Imagine if Rangers had taken that chance. It's one of those what-ifs that makes you wonder how different things could have been. But right now, the focus has to be on what's ahead. No more looking back. No more excuses. Thursday night against Athletic Club is massive. Not just because it's a European quarterfinal, though that would be reason enough, but because it represents a chance for redemption, a chance for these players to prove that they still care, that they're still fighting, that they still belong in this shirt. And for Jack Butland, it's a chance to bounce back. He's made mistakes, costly ones, but goalkeepers live and die by those moments. What matters now is how he responds. Ferguson has laid down the law, and if Butland wants to be part of the rebuild, he'll need to show he can be trusted when the pressure is on. The same goes for the rest of the squad. There's no room left for passengers. Every match from here on out is a test of character. And with Ibrox no longer the fortress it once was, Rangers need to rediscover their identity. Fast. Because if they don't, this season could go from disappointing to disastrous in the blink of an eye. As Rangers prepare to face Athletic Club in the Europa League, there's a nervous energy surrounding Ibrox. Not the kind that comes with excitement, but the kind that creeps in when nobody's sure which version of this team is going to show up. That's the reality now. The fans no longer expect dominance, they hope for resilience, and that in itself tells the story of how far the club has drifted from where it should be. Barry Ferguson's comments after the Hibernian loss offered a glimpse into the mindset of someone who's hurting someone, but who understands what it means to represent Rangers and is desperate to bring back that sense of pride. He spoke with emotion, with frustration, but also with clarity. He said players would be dropped if they weren't pulling their weight, and you could see he meant every word. He's trying to restore standards that have clearly slipped. He's trying to drag this group out of a rut that's gone on for far too long. But the question remains, do these players have the fight in them? Do they have the bottle to respond when everything's on the line? It's been a tough few weeks for Jack Butland, and he knows it. The mistake against Hibs was just the latest in a string of errors that have cost Rangers dearly. Ferguson said it straight. It was a bad mistake. No sugarcoating. And that's how it has to be. Goalkeepers don't get to hide. When they mess up, it usually ends in a goal. And at a club like Rangers, those kinds of moments stick. Butland has the chance to bounce back, to silence the critics, and to show that he's still the kind of player you can build a defense around. But he'll have to prove it under the lights of a European knockout match with the pressure cranked all the way up. And that's the thing about these European nights. They don't lie. They reveal who you are. They test your mettle, your desire, your character. And they also offer the kind of stage where heroes can be made. Rangers need someone to step up. Someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck and drag the team forward. Not just with skill, but with hunger, with passion, with sheer will. Ferguson's approach has been blunt, but it's what the moment calls for. He's not interested in empty words or hollow praise. He wants results. He wants effort. He wants accountability. And the players have no choice but to respond. The fans have had enough of the excuses. They want to see a team that represents the badge with pride. A team that leaves everything on the pitch, no matter the opponent, no matter the competition. This tie against Athletic Club could be a turning point, for better or worse. If Rangers show up, fight for every ball, and play with purpose, they can make a real statement. But if they crumble under pressure again, it might just confirm what many have feared, that this group doesn't have what it takes to compete at the level Rangers demand. And behind it all, there's the looming question of what comes next. There's been talk of change, of a new era of clearing out the dead weight and starting fresh. Chris Boyd wasn't wrong when he said maybe the whole place needs gutted. Because if the same mistakes keep happening, if the same attitudes persist, then you're not dealing with bad form. You're dealing with a broken culture. That's the real battle Ferguson is fighting. Not just tactics or formations, but mindset, belief, identity. He's trying to light a fire under a squad that's gone cold. And if he succeeds, Thursday night could be the spark that sets it all off. But if not, then it becomes another missed opportunity, another painful chapter in a season full of them. One thing is certain, the fans will show up. They always do. They'll sing, they'll back the team, and they'll hope for something to cheer. Now it's up to the players to match that energy, to repay that faith, and to prove that they still deserve to wear the badge. Because time is running out, and the margin for error has all but disappeared. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In what could become one of the most shocking stories in Scottish football history, fresh speculation has surfaced that Rangers may be at risk of expulsion from the UEFA Europa League. The reason? Club captain and legendary right-back James Tavernier has allegedly failed a doping test, igniting a firestorm of questions and uncertainty. While no official confirmation has yet been provided by UEFA or the club, the rumor alone has sent Ibrox and the football world into a state of disbelief. Tavernier, a cornerstone of Rangers since 2015 and the highest scoring defender in British football history, has long been admired for his stamina, discipline, and professionalism. With over 500 appearances and more than 130 goals for the club, he has written himself into the history books as one of Rangers' greatest modern-era players. That such a figure could now be under investigation is almost unthinkable, and fans are anxiously awaiting more details. UEFA has not issued a formal statement on the matter, but insiders claim that an emergency meeting is being convened to assess the potential consequences. If the doping allegations are substantiated, the governing body could consider disqualifying Rangers from European competition entirely, a move that would not only devastate the club's campaign, but also tarnish Tavernier's storied legacy. The wider implications for Scottish football's reputation in Europe are just as dire. Sources close to the situation have hinted that the test in question may have occurred during routine Europa League procedures following Rangers' most recent fixture. There is also growing chatter that the club has already been notified privately and is preparing for possible sanctions. Yet the silence from both Rangers and UEFA has only deepened the intrigue, leaving supporters grasping for any shred of clarity. For now, Ibrox holds its breath. Is this all just wild speculation, or are Rangers truly standing on the edge of a European nightmare? As the story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: Scottish football fans won't be able to look away. The next 48 hours could change everything. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.